Do you have old objects collecting dust? Things too special to throw away, but not really useful anymore? Today, I'll show you how to give them a second life by turning them into stunning garden decor that looks like it came straight out of a fancy magazine, but costs you almost nothing. And don't worry, my friend. Every project we'll do today is gentle on your hands, light on your back, and heavy on charm. No power tools or heavy lifting needed. Just simple, joyful little touches that will make your garden sparkle. If you love creative, budget-friendly ideas like this, I'd love for you to join our little family here at Golden Years Lifestyle Hub. Just tap that subscribe button and you'll always have a cozy spot with us. Now, let's set the stage for today. We're taking what most people call junk and turning it into jewels for the garden. An old teacup, a chair missing a leg, maybe even that cracked bird bath sitting in the corner. All of these can become treasures with a bit of imagination. It's true what they say. One person's trash really can be another person's garden treasure. My neighbor once tossed out an old metal watering can, and with a bit of paint and flowers tucked inside, it's now the star of her front porch. I can't tell you how many times folks walking by stop and compliment it. She swears it's her secret to keeping the neighbors jealous. So stay with me, because I've got 10 charming projects lined up for you. Each one easy to follow, each one bringing new life to forgotten things. And don't slip away too early. I've saved a handful of bonus tips for the end that will make everything shine even brighter. Now, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's get started together. Your garden is about to become a place where memories and creativity bloom side by side. Project 1. Old wooden chair and a plant throne. Now, let's begin with something many of us have tucked away in a shed or garage. An old wooden chair that's too wobbly to sit on anymore. Instead of sending it off to the trash, we're going to give it a second life as a plant throne. All you need to do is carefully remove the seat of the chair. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. Once that opening is clear, simply set a flower pot right inside the frame. You can leave the chair rustic with its chipped paint and weathered wood, or give it a fresh coat of color. A splash of white turns it shabby chic, while a bold teal or sunflower yellow will make it pop in the garden. And here's where the real magic happens. Choose flowers that love to show off. Geraniums with their cheerful reds, or begonias with their lush greens and blooms work beautifully. Before you know it, that forgotten chair is now a royal seat for your plants. And just think about it. Instead of guests sitting on it, flowers will now sit proudly on their throne. My friend down the street has one just like this on her front porch, and she swears it's the reason passers-by always stop to compliment her home. It's simple, it's charming, and it's one less chair you'll ever have to drag to the curb. Project 2. Teapots and kettles as planters. For our second idea, let's take a stroll back into the kitchen, because sometimes the best garden decor is hiding right in our cupboards. Do you have an old teapot or kettle that's seen better days? Maybe the handle's loose or the spout drips just a little too much. Instead of tossing it, we'll turn it into a planter with loads of charm. The first step is simple. Drill a few small drainage holes at the bottom. That way, your plants won't sit in soggy soil. If drilling feels like too much, you can always tuck a smaller pot inside the kettle to keep things neat. Once that's done, fill it with potting mix and think about what you'd love to see spill over. Herbs like mint or parsley are perfect if you want your kettle planter right outside the kitchen door. Or, for a burst of cheerful color, try pansies. They'll look like little faces peeking up at you every time you pass by. And here's a nostalgic thought for you. That old kettle that once whistled happily in your kitchen can now sing with color outdoors. I've seen neighbors line up a row of mismatched teapots on their porch rail, each one filled with blooms. It looked like a little parade of memories, each vessel telling a story. It's practical, it's delightful, and it gives your garden that personal touch no store-bought planter could ever match. Just imagine the smile on a guest's face when they realize the flowers are growing out of your grandmother's old teapot. Now that's a conversation starter. Project 3. Picture frames as garden art. Here's a quick and charming idea. Old picture frames. With just a little paint, they can become delightful garden art. Hang them on a fence, shed wall, or even the side of your house to create a gallery right in the garden. For extra magic, place a few mini flower pots inside the frame. It's like a living picture with blossoms spilling out where photos once hung. Petunias or trailing ivy work beautifully here. And don't worry about making them perfect. In fact, a bit of distressed paint gives them that lovely vintage charm, as though they've been part of the garden for years. My neighbor once used pastel blue frames, and honestly, the whole fence looked like something from a country magazine. Simple, light, and full of character. That's the beauty of turning frames into flowers capes. Project 4. Ladders as tiered plant stands. Let's move on to something tall and full of charm, an old wooden ladder. Maybe it once helped you paint the ceiling or pick apples in the fall. Even if it's a little too rickety for climbing now, it still has a new role waiting in the garden. Simply lean the ladder against a wall, a tree, or even the side of shed. Place small potted plants on each rung. Succulents, petunias, or trailing vines work beautifully. Suddenly, you've created a tiered plant stand that feels both rustic and elegant. And here's a sweet thought. This ladder may not help you reach the ceiling anymore, but it can help flowers climb toward the sky. A neighbor of mine did this with bright red geraniums on every rung. Oh, you should have seen the way people stopped to admire it. Project 5. Mason jars and bottles as lanterns. Now let's add a little glow. Old mason jars or glass bottles make the perfect lanterns for your garden. Slip in a string of solar fairy lights, or use simple candles if you prefer that warm flicker. Then, hang them from tree branches or line them along a garden path. There's something magical about walking outside at dusk and seeing these jars twinkle. It's like catching fireflies and keeping them glowing all night long. I remember doing that as a child, running barefoot through the grass, cupping those little lights in a jar. These lanterns bring back that same joy, only now it's your whole garden that sparkles. Soft, affordable, and endlessly charming. Your space will look like it came straight from a summer evening storybook. Project 6. Old drawers as rustic garden boxes. Next up, let's give an old dresser drawer a brand new story. If you've got a piece of furniture that's too worn to keep inside, don't haul it off just yet. Those drawers can become the most charming little garden boxes. All you need to do is remove the drawers and take them outside. You can paint them in soft colors, maybe a gentle sage green or creamy white, or simply leave the wood weathered for that rustic farmhouse look. Then, fill them with potting soil and choose flowers that make you smile. Trailing plants like ivy or petunias are perfect here. They'll spill gracefully over the sides, softening the edges of the drawer and making it look like the blooms are overflowing with happiness. I once saw someone stack 2 drawers at a slight angle, one on top of the other, so the flowers seemed to cascade down like a waterfall. It was breathtaking and cost almost nothing. It's simple, it's nostalgic, and it turns something forgotten into a centerpiece. Imagine guests walking by and realizing that those blooms are sitting proudly in an old drawer. You'll have them smiling before they even reach your door. Project 7. Bird cages as hanging flower baskets. Now here's a project that always makes me smile, turning an old bird cage into a hanging flower basket. If you got a vintage cage tucked away in the attic or spot one at a thrift store, it's just waiting to be reborn as a garden centerpiece. All you need to do is line the bottom with a little cocoa liner or moss, fill it with rich soil, and tuck in your favorite blooms. Petunias, lobelias, or even trailing ivy will spill beautifully through the bars, softening the cage and giving it that dreamy storybook feel. Hang it from a porch beam, a shepherd's hook, or the branch of shady tree, and you've suddenly got a piece of garden art that feels whimsical and elegant all at once. I once saw a neighbor hang 3 bird cages at different heights on her front porch. Oh, it looked like a floating chandelier of flowers. And here's the fun part. No birds required, only blooms that sing with color. Instead of chirps, you'll have blossoms humming along with the breeze. Project 8. Old boots or shoes as corky planters. Here's a playful one that always brings a smile, turning old boots or shoes into planters. You know that pair that's too worn to walk in, but too full of memories to toss out? Give them a second life right in your garden. Simply fill them with potting soil and choose hardy plants that don't mind a snug little home. Succulents are perfect. They'll thrive with little care and look adorable spilling out of the tops. You can also try marigolds or pansies for a splash of cheerful color. Place them on your porch steps, line them along a pathway, or tuck them into a corner of the garden for a surprise discovery. I once saw someone use a row of old work boots, each one planted with a different flower. It looked like a marching band of blooms. And here's the fun touch. That pair of boots too worn to walk can still stand tall in your garden. Instead of carrying you down the road, they'll carry blossoms up toward the sun. Project 9. Watering cans as garden fountains or planters. Now, here's a project that really shows how something simple can become a centerpiece. That old watering can sitting in a corner? Don't let the rust fool you. It still has plenty of life to give. If you want something quick, just fill it with soil and add trailing flowers like lobelia or alyssum. They'll spill beautifully from the spout and edges, almost as if the flowers themselves are pouring out. It's a playful, living illusion that never fails to impress visitors. But if you'd like to take it one step further, you can convert a watering can into a mini fountain with a small pump. Imagine the gentle trickle of water flowing from the spout, soft, soothing, and so inviting on a summer day. It becomes both art and relaxation rolled into one. Encouragement for you, my friend. Even a rusty watering can still pours life into your garden. Sometimes the most worn things create the loveliest surprises. Project 10. Broken china into mosaic stepping stones. Finally, let's turn something fragile into something lasting. Those chipped plates or cracked teacups you thought were ruined. They can find a second home in your garden as colorful mosaic stepping stones. All you need to do is press the broken pieces into cement while it's still soft, creating patterns and splashes of color that brighten up your pathways. Blues, whites, and floral patterns all look stunning once the sun catches them. Place them along a walkway, and suddenly every step through your garden feels like walking across a work of art. And here's a little humor to end on a smile. Who knew a broken plate could lead you down a beautiful garden path? My neighbor once used her grandmother's china this way. It was her way of keeping those memories alive with every step she took. Gentle, affordable, and bursting with charm. Your garden will thank you for every touch of creativity you add. Before we wrap up, let me share a few little extras that can make a big difference in your garden. Sometimes it's the smallest touches that create the biggest smiles. Try adding fairy lights to your trellises or arches. When evening falls, they twinkle like captured stars, turning your garden into a magical retreat. Those chipped mugs hiding in the back of your cupboard? Pop a little soil inside and plant tiny succulents. They look adorable on a windowsill or garden shelf, and no one will ever guess they were once headed for the trash. And here's a colorful idea. Take lightweight scarves and use them as outdoor table runners. They bring instant charm and seasonal color to your patio without costing a penny. Remember, small touches bring big smiles. And your garden, just like your golden years, deserves all the joy you can sprinkle into it. What a wonderful journey we've had today, turning old, forgotten items into treasures for the garden. Let's take a quick stroll back through all 10 projects. 1. An old wooden chair transformed into a plant throne. 2. Teapots and kettles reborn as planters. 3. Picture frames painted into living wall art. 4. A ladder turned into a tiered plant stand. 5. Mason jars and bottles glowing as lanterns. 6. Dresser drawers repurposed as rustic garden boxes. 7. A birdcage made into a hanging flower basket. 8. Old boots or shoes standing proudly as quirky planters. 9. A watering can giving new life as a planter or fountain. 10. Broken china pieced together into mosaic stepping stones. Each one proves that with a touch of imagination, nothing is truly junk everything can bloom again. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which old object in your home is waiting for a second chance in your garden? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and ideas. And if you enjoyed today's gentle inspirations, give this video a like, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to Golden Years Lifestyle Hub for more ways to make your garden magical on a budget. Until next time, my friend, may your days be peaceful and your garden full of charm.